cup of flour, that's what you will need. 1/3 a cup of white sugar, half a teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of vanilla essence, and 3 tablespoons of milk, and half a cup of margarine or butter. Are the measurements for the ingredients. Feel free to screenshot. I started off obviously by scooping out the margarine from the measuring cup. If you have butter, it's going to be definitely much better. It's going to elevate the recipe. And into this I add my sugar to cream together. I decided to be an overachiever and just go ahead and add the milk and vanilla essence, but you guys will realize as we go into the video that was a big mistake. So it's always best to just cream the sugar and the margarine or butter first together, because the other liquids, the milk and the vanilla essence, actually caused the margarine and sugar to break and not cream together nicely. But I kept going because it was still good enough to use, even though the mixture broke, or what I was trying to do broke. So life lesson: cream together your sugar and butter or margarine first on the side before you incorporate in your liquids. So as you can tell, this was definitely an epic fail for a very long time. It did not want to combine together. I kept trying and trying. I switched off my, what is this? Is this a blender? No, my whisk thing, and I decided let me just try and do it by hand. That still did not work because it just did not want to come together, because this one decided to add the liquids before creaming. And then I decided let me try with a spatula. Well, still failed, but you know what, I was determined and I was not gonna let this mistake get in my way. It still did not combine nicely together, so I just decided to let go but use it as it is. And now I was gonna add the dry ingredients to my messed up, what was supposed to be creamed together nicely mixture. So I go ahead and I add my flour and salt. Was that salt? No, baking soda and salt. And then I just, combine everything together until I get a nice and soft batter. So this is the easiest recipe ever to make because you don't need a whole lot of things. I did not have eggs in my house, and I have such a sweet tooth and I really wanted something, and I was not gonna go and just have or snack on sugar as it is. So this was the next close thing I could make that has sugar. So after all that mixing, I take a spoon to try and at least measure out, how much cookie dough I wanted. I didn't want to make, I actually made a very small batch. I don't want to make a lot, so this one tray will be fine. So I roll them first into balls. I tried to make them the same size so that they can bake evenly. So I go ahead and I just scoop them out, roll them up in my hand, and I just kept on going until the batter was finished. And it actually did not take long. This is, I think, the fastest and shortest recipe or cookie I've ever tried to make, and I loved it. Probably spent about 15 minutes doing everything, which is yeah, great. Anyway, so I'm scooping out and scraping that bowl, the famous Tupperware bowl that I never thought I would have. Anyway, I try to flatten the cookie balls a little bit so that when they expand, at least they form like a nice shape. Not too much, but just a nice size. So you can take anything that has a flat bottom so that you can flatten your cookies nicely. And then because this is a sugar cookie, I come back with some white sugar and I sprinkle it on top of the mixture. The other thing is you could use brown sugar in the whole mixture altogether. It's going to make your cookies a little brown, so don't get alarmed if you're using brown sugar and you feel like they're getting burned. No, because you're using brown sugar, they are going to look a little darker than they would if you were using white sugar. So I'm popping them into the oven at 180 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes, I guess, but it also depends on how your stove or oven works. So, and those are my cookies after about 15 to 20 minutes, and I was quite happy with how they came out. And yeah, so I'm gonna let them cool a bit. So I didn't actually need to grease my pan or tray because it's non-stick, but also these cookies used a lot of margarine, so already I think that fat in the margarine helped them to not stick to the tray at all. So this is how they look straight out of the oven. I loved them, and once they were cooled, I took them out and I put them on my little plate there, and this is how they look.